Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 166. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, and it is the NBA Net Knick playoff preview. Knicks versus the Cavs, Saturday night, 6 o'clock in Cleveland, while the Brooklyn Nets go to Philadelphia to kick off the NBA playoffs 2023 when they play the Sixers at 1 p.m. Eastern. And through the long grind, through the long season, through the ups, through the downs, we have made it to the 2023 playoffs for both the Nets and the Knicks. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing great. Very excited for the playoffs. Excited to watch everything on Saturday start and playing tournament this week, whatever. But I won't say whatever because it doesn't affect us. So, yes, thankfully, I'm sure if we were in the playing tournament, we care a lot.
Yes,
but it's one of those things where you only care about it if you're in it. Looking forward to the playoffs, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I mean, it'll be good to have kind of on in the background to see what happens with these games,
right?
To keep an eye on them. But I mean, the Nets last year were in the play-in game. If you remember, they played those Cavs in the 7-8 game where the Nets won and then advanced to get to, lose to the Celtics in 4. So for the Nets that won 44 games last year, they win 45 this year, and you see the difference one game makes. They have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs.
It's true, and it's exciting, and it's nice to you guys can get some practice time in. Which is big for your team. Which is you haven't had a lot of that, I'm sure, being pieced together in the middle of February. And I think that'll help the Nets. I mean, I don't know if it'll make them win the series, but it's definitely nice for them to have some practice time.
Yeah, Nets 12-14 basically since the whole team was blown up. But 5 out of the last 6, they had a really difficult schedule. If you look at it, so I think for the Nets, they're trending in the right direction heading into the playoffs, which is, I think, realistically all you can ask for with a team that's was blown up in the middle of the season. And now they're a new squad. Really don't know what you're going to get from them. I mean that. It's funny because, Alex, I think, last year was, I think, the false expectations of thinking they could win.
Right.
That game, by the way, I watched Nets Celtics game 1, the last 5 minutes on Saturday.
Oh, that was one of my favorite games to watch ever. I got to tell you.
I bet. I could imagine. I rewatched it. They really fucked that up. They were up 3 with like 45 seconds left. Pain. But I don't know.
The shot at the buzzer, right? It was a layup at the buzzer that the Celtics won, right?
Yeah, it was the Tatum shot. Part of me had to relive it. I think I had to relive the disgust so that I could hype myself up for Net 6.
It was a cleanse, right? You had to cleanse yourself for.
I haven't watched it since.
Because the series was over at that moment. You had your game. Yeah, that was it. If they win that game, then the series could have been anything. But then the Nets just packed it in. Even Durant admitted it to who did he admit it to? One of his friends who plays in like Europe or something. Remember that?
Oh, yes. It was to Mike James.
Mike James, yes.
Great Mike James, yes.
Who?
Most famous. Who's most famous for his off the backboard pass. Or I don't know if he threw the pass, but versus the Cavs at the end of the regular season game when we all thought the Nets were going to be magical, but they were not. So we'll preview a little Nets. We'll preview a little Knicks. And I know we wanted to start off, or I guess we've already started off, but just talking about Julius Randle update, because I know that's kind of a big mystery here for the Knicks as they go into their series versus the Cavs in the 4-5 matchup. There's probably some Knicks fans that believe the Knicks are better without Randle, and there's probably some Knicks fans that believe they need him. I believe in a playoff run they would need Julius Randle to play well, or that I don't think they really have a chance. I just can't see the Knicks winning a playoff series without Julius Randle. I think he's got to be great. And if he's not there, I think it's just too much on expectations of guys that have never been there in a playoff spot before, as well as Obi Toppin plays in games that don't matter. This one would. So I do think you need Julius Randle healthy and available for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, before I get to the update on Randle, Obi Toppin did play in the playoffs 2 years ago and raised his game dramatically in his rookie season. He didn't play well. He didn't play a lot. He got injured early in the year, and he was just coming from behind the entire season. And then in the playoffs, he had a couple, especially game 2, he had a couple of great defensive stops. He got that alley-oop. He played really. He's actually one of the few Knicks that raised his game in the playoffs. So. It's different when you're starting and playing 35 minutes in the playoffs for sure against Evan Mobley. That's a big difference than coming off the bench playing against Hawks backups. But at the same time, that did happen. So
I get you on that,
yeah,
and I respect that.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, if he's going in there with the
right, no, I get
broad
it.
Shoulders of there's going to need to be expectations to do what he did, and not fully. But I mean, I guess the Knicks do play a different kind of style of ball when Randle's out, so it would change his game.
It's actually
but your
fun.
Point, Toppin does have, which is wild too, because it does feel like a lifetime ago of Obi Toppin coming in those games and giving minutes, just because of how up and down his career has been. But to my point originally, if the Knicks are going to beat the Cavs, I personally think your second best player's got to be there. And that's
well. I hear you. That's a whole debate that nobody's really right. I mean, I guess you are. You could be. You're probably right. I mean, on paper, you need your all-star to win, but at the same time, the Knicks might be a more fun and efficient team without him, which is crazy to say, And so the update I heard, Mike Breen was on Sirius NBA Radio on the Give and Go, I believe it's the show with Rick Kamla and Antonio Daniels, and he said that Julius Randle's out of the walking boot, doing some shooting and having some contact. If he's going to be ready for game 1 is to be determined. That's a quote. And then another quote is, good chance he is going to play. If not game 1, he'll be ready early in the series. So it looks like game 1 really, really is a question mark. It could be the Knicks, speaking through Mike Breen and trying to get an edge. Breen is part of the company, and he'll never say anything negative about the Knicks, and I don't blame him. Unlike other people, where it's just he's got the best jobs in the world, he's not going to do anything to risk that, and I get that. But I don't think he would lie, and I think that Randle is, out of the walking boot. We saw him in the last game of the season with his family at the game. He said he would be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which is right around now. So we'll see. Maybe he won't play game 1, which he might be a little hobbled. I'd rather not have half of a Randle. I'd rather have a full Randle than a half a Randle. And they do need him to beat the Cavs. Let's be real. As much as I like the way the Knicks play without him, and I'm not a big fan of his in general, they do need him to win and beat the Cavs. They need him to play the right way. They don't need bad Randle. They need good Randle, and they need his hustling. They need all that, and I'm sure he will be doing all that in the playoffs. It's just the ball dominant, stopping on the ball. It just becomes very, very hard to watch sometimes for me. But without him, they have looked like, a team that I envisioned when I wanted them to just dump him in the offseason, which is obviously what I would not do now. So there's that.
And I think that's the big mystery for the Knicks is you don't typically see that where you have your quote unquote second best player and you have that kind of conversation. You never see that happen. With the Bulls, you would say, I hope Scotty doesn't come back. And I'm making an extreme example here. But the idea is, if you're going to have your second best player there, they've got to come in, they've got to execute, they've got to play well. And you're playing a Cavs team that's a little more tested now playoff wise. Donovan Mitchell obviously is playoff tested with all of his series with the Jazz. Jared Allen's been through it now. Evan Mobley has not. But the young backcourt with Sexton, who got a little experience in the play-in like Mobley did, but not really. So Donovan Mitchell will have to lead him, and that's the storyline to me that I love. Donovan Mitchell's got to come in there and punish the Knicks. He's got to punish the Knicks for not trading for him. And everybody can say everything they want about not doing the deal. It's better for the Knicks long term because of how successful they'll be with all their assets and young players. That might be true, and you could prove to be right in the long haul. But in the interim, in the short moment, I need Donovan Mitchell to go into Madison Square Garden and make it his bitch. He has got to dominate it. He has got to control it. And he has got to show those fans what a superstar can do in the playoffs. And that's what I need personally. That's what I'll be looking for. I need the Cavs to just stomp them because, it is, it's been a very good season for the Knicks. They've had a lot of success, and I'm sick of it. And I want to see it come to an end. And I don't want to see them continue to play well. And I'm sick of fans, anointing how great Immanuel Quickley is automatically winning sixth man of the year. That's a lock. I'm sick of it. And at the same time, I want to see the Nets go into Philly, hoping to go to game one, and just shock them and take a win, steal a win, start that series off right, and just make it fun. Make it fun for me as a Nets fan, where I can get the Nets dominating the Sixers, making Joel Embiid look little, and Nick Claxton just controlling the paint. And like, wow, is he the next Joel Embiid? Is Joel Embiid now taking a step back? And then at the same time, Donovan Mitchell dropping 90 at the Garden.
And I think you said Sexton, but I'm sure you meant Garland before.
Garland, sorry,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
but
yes, you know what I meant.
Yeah, I know what you meant, but I don't want people to be like, Mike, you idiot. You said
I am an idiot. I am an idiot.
He was traded for Donovan Mitchell. Yeah,
I am an idiot. You could make that. You honestly could go on Bad Weather Fans and make that point, and I wouldn't counter argue it. So that's fine too.
Yeah.
You know what? No, idiots. I meant Sexton. I don't know who's on the Cavs backcourt. I meant that. I got it wrong because I don't know my shit.
You've never watched basketball before.
What's up, Leon, behind me? Yeah.
Go ahead. Leon the cat right there on YouTube if you're watching. Anyway, yeah, so honestly, the Nets, like they have to, for it to be a success is to not get stomped out. Just show up and make it a series and put some fear into the Sixers.
Yeah.
The Knicks, they have to.
They gotta win.
Winning, I don't know. They have to take it to 6 or 7. You can't get stomped out and bitch slapped like you got by Capella and the Hawks 2 years ago. You can't come in there, win a game early, and then lose the next 3 after talking trash and then getting smoked. You can't lose game 1 by getting cooked on the game winner with your defensive stopper and Ntilikina like he did by Trae Young hitting that game winner at the Garden and then winning game 2 and you're dancing in the streets and then you don't win again. That you can't have that happen again if you're the Knicks. You have to make this a series. Get to 6 or 7, make it a game in game 7 or be up 3-2 and whatever it is. You have to make this a series. You can't come into this series and lose in 5. And show no fight, and it'll be the whole entire season will be for nothing. It'll be a purgatory year, no progress, done.
Wow.
I'm saying it because what did you accomplish by not trading for Donovan Mitchell? You didn't accomplish shit. You got Jalen Brunson, who looks great and better than I thought. But what are you after this? If you get stomped out. All of those good vibes that we feel right now. You feel all these good vibes. You feel this right now. Stop for a second. You feel how good Knicks fans feel, how you're getting mad about that. That's going to be gone with the snap of your fingers if they go down with a whimper in this first round play.
Well,
series.
I'll be glad it's gone, but I think the takeaway from the accomplishment of what they had, I think you can't do. And what they can do moving forward, I think is an impossibility to talk about or to make that declaration. Like it was all for none. Now, former guest who was on the show, Channing Frye, if you go back in the catalog, episode 164, he talked about the Knicks putting themselves in a position now where they can possibly make a deal moving forward. Now, they didn't make a deal for Donovan Mitchell, but that does not mean that they can't make a trade moving forward. Now, as much as I want the Knicks to have a shitty playoff run, I don't think that will happen. I personally think they've got better pieces in play than they did a couple of years ago. Jalen Brunson will give them stability in the playoffs. He's a guy that took the Mavs, who are a complete mess. He took the Mavs to the Final Four last year and played great basketball. So he's been in big spots. The big moment, there's guys, like you're scared if Randle can show up in a big play in a big spot. I think with Jalen Brunson, he loves it. Like you expect him to achieve in a big moment. They're a better team overall. They're playing a much better team. Trust me, this Cavs team is better than what the Hawks were a couple years ago. So they're playing better competition. But I just think with the pieces they have now and guys like Josh Hart, Quickley's development, Jalen Brunson being a leader and an all-NBA player, not putting so much pressure on guys like RJ Barrett and Julius Randle to succeed, I think puts the Knicks in a better position where they can have a better playoffs. Now, if they don't win, and it is short, and we're all, and the majority of the world is happy because that little team that plays in New York lost, I'd be thrilled, but I don't think it takes away from what you had. And it doesn't by any means mean that you can't be good moving forward. I don't think that would be fair to the organization as I'm a Leon Rose defender.
I mean, I don't think it'll affect their future decisions. I just feel like the good vibes and the feeling that you have right now about the organization in the future, I think it's going to be gone. And you brought up an interesting point that I don't know if I agree with, that this Cavs team is better than the Hawks 2 years ago, the Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They went to they took a run. They beat the Sixers. They were a good team. They were built for a win now team, and it's kind of imploded and ruined their franchise. They had some injuries to Gallinari and whatever, and they made the trade for Murray, and it hasn't really worked out. And they might blow it up after the season. Channing Frye said that too on our show. But I don't know how much better the Cavs are. It's easy to say now, the Hawks aren't as good as the Cavs are now, but the Hawks were legit 2 years ago, man. I know they were the 5 seed, but like they went on a run and justified themselves, So I feel like it's very similar,
I think the Eastern Conference as a whole is a lot better than it was then.
True,
you remember then, like the Nets were the 2 seed that year. The Sixers were a flawed 1 seed because of what had happened. Remember this: the Sixers had the Ben Simmons. That was the problem with them. They didn't have a second guy, and it was Embiid and nothing. And Simmons.
That's when it all imploded, right? Yeah,
that's when it all imploded for Ben. The Nets, the 2 seed, got derailed by injuries, and then the Bucks came up. The Knicks were the 4 seed. The Hawks were the 5. So when I look at the teams ahead, as the Hawks were the 5 seed, yes, you make that point. They were good, but there weren't this year's Bucks. There weren't, and that was the team that won the title. This team's better. There weren't the Celtics. The Sixers now much improved because they actually have a roster that's constructed the right way, and then the Cavs slot to the 4. Now they might not have the success in the playoff run, but I would argue that Eastern Conference was set up for them, and they did get hot at the right time and played great basketball. But I think as a whole, as a team, I think if you put this Cavs team versus the Hawks teams 2 years ago, Cavs win that series.
Okay, that's fair. You made it was a good point about the Sixers thing. I totally forgot about that. So you got that.
That was the 1 seed Sixers. The Nets were the 2 seed.
Yeah,
and then whatever. I don't have to tell you everything that happened there.
Yeah.
This Nets team does intrigue me though versus the Sixers because they were 0-4 versus Philly in the regular season. You can't really look at that stat. They're really just 0-1. 2 games with the Durant Kyrie team that was a mess. Remember that one game where they didn't play where the Sixers didn't play anybody and they lost. Game 4 this past Sunday was nobody on the court. And then the one game where they had their guys, they blew the game. I know that the Sixers will be favored, and I'm not picking the Nets by no stretch. But I am. What's that?
You want to do our picks?
Well, in a second. But I am interested in a net team that defends well on the perimeter, lives and dies by the 3. They're going to make it interesting for that Sixers team on the perimeter, and I can't wait to see how they handle James Harden. God help us all, they make him look pathetic in this series. The problem is that the Sixers have a center in Embiid that's great, like the best. That's the issue there. But there's an intrigue factor with the Nets because you don't know what they are. You don't know what you're going to get from them. They've shown flashes of brilliance, and then they have moments where they can't do anything, and that's just how flawed they are when they live and die by the 3-point shot. But they're at least going in with like they're playoff tested individually. As a whole, not even close. They've never done it before. But individually, Spencer Dinwiddie, tons of playoff experience. Dorian Finney-Smith, playoff experience. Bridges, Cam Johnson, playoff experience with the Suns, not in the roles they're going to play here in Brooklyn.
It's different,
but they've been there. They've seen the moment, and they've been in big spots all the way down to the NBA Finals, etc. Nick Claxton last year, getting that good experience versus the Celtics. Royce O'Neal, definitely experience, and the list goes on. So they haven't had it together as a group, but it's not like you're getting guys that have never been in the playoffs before, and I think that's the part that intrigues me about this Nets team.
That's fair. It's exciting because you don't know. I mean, they haven't played above 500 balls since they got together, but it's kind of hard to piece together a brand new roster with in the middle of the season.
Sure,
so you got to give them a little credit for even getting close to 500 and being that playing that well. So I don't know, man. You painted it perfectly. Do you want to go with our series predictions now, or
a Nets in 4? Yeah, we could do that. You want to do Knicks first or the Nets first?
Whatever you want.
Pick. I want to do Knicks first. Nah. Well, I don't have anything to flip. I got a number behind my back. If you get the number right,
rock paper scissors. We can do.
Well, it's okay on YouTube. Is there a lag? Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, you do says shoot. Who does shoot? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. It says shoot.
Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot.
No, we both got rock, paper,
Rock,
scissors.
paper,
Says,
scissors, shoot. Well,
so you got the rock. So
All right.
you do rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Shoot. It's rock, paper, scissors. Says shoot.
I've never heard anybody says shoot.
You says.
Oh,
no
one's. I've never heard that.
Rock, paper, scissors says shoot.
No,
rock, paper,
that's
scissors
made
says
up.
shoot.
Oh, please.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. That doesn't.
Tweet me at Mike Delivers Pod at Nick Central. Yeah. That is the silliest. I've never heard that in my life. It says shoot.
I've never heard people do it without.
I just go first. Go first with the Knicks. Get it out of the way.
Okay, my official Knicks Cavs series prediction is with or without Randle, Cavs in 7. That's what I'm going with. And I'm going with that because I believe the Cavs are better. I believe the home court advantage will be a big factor. I believe Randle's going to be out game 1, as Mike Breen said, or he's going to be hobbled. I do think that Tibbs has a tendency to panic in the playoffs, and he's going to admit like he did 2 years ago, and he's done with the Timberwolves and the Bulls. And I mean, the Bulls, he had Rose hurt, whatever. But he is not the best in the playoff situations, which is why he hasn't really had substantial success in the playoffs. And we'll see. So that's what I'm saying. Cavs in 7. Mike, go ahead.
Man, oh man. Now there's two Mikes. Okay. There's the Mike that wants to just pick the Knicks because then try to put the mush on it. I think this is I think the Knicks have a slight edge in talent. As crazy as it is saying that out loud, I do think they have more depth. What would scare me about the Cavs is I don't think they have the perimeter shooting in a big spot to last, and that would scare me. And that's the one component of the Cavs I don't love. And they're going to need guys like Osman to come off the bench and give them that shooting. I think the Knicks have a slight edge in overall talent. I think the matchup between Mitchell and Jared Allen will be huge to see who can control the glass and those second chance opportunities and those little different making points I think will loom large. I think the Knicks go into Cleveland and lose in game 7 as well. And I think the home court is the difference. I think the Randle injury will loom big for the Knicks and will be a huge piece of conversation with what's the right decision. I think all those factors going into the playoffs, I'll give the Cavs a slight edge in 7. And I think it's because they have that home court. But man, it wouldn't shock me if the Knicks pulled it off because I do think they have more talent. I just think there's a couple of X factors right now going in Cleveland's favor.
Got it. All right. So we're both in unison, Cavs in 7. All right. So go ahead. You go first. Nets series.
Nets. I said it. Nets in 4. No. Brooklyn Nets versus the Sixers. Series starts Saturday at 1:00 in Philly. This is a Sixers team that on paper is supposed to win this series. They've got the best player, arguably, in the NBA in Joel Embiid, and they've got a guy in James Harden who really needs to prove himself these playoffs and come out big. I wouldn't expect the Sixers to not take the Nets seriously. Sometimes that can happen in these early series, like a game 1, like it did Nets Sixers a couple years back when the Nets stole game 1. I expect Philly to come out ready, come out fired up. I do think the Nets perimeter defense with Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges will make it more difficult for Philly on the perimeter. PJ Tucker always seems to find a way to fucking break my heart. So I expect a 3 from him when he's like 0 for 7 from the field. And in the fourth quarter makes a 3 that just crushes the Nets. But I do think this Nets team's going to get wins. They're not good enough to sustain it, obviously. They're not good enough to control Joel Embiid overall, but they're good enough to get a win. And when they get hot, and they get streaky, and they get good. I'll give them 2 games. I think they take the Sixers to 6. I think they put a little scare in Philly. I really believe that. I think the Nets are constructed where they have the perimeter defenders and they're peaking at the right time, where they will get 2 games and they'll lose to Philly in 6, but you feel good leaving the series that they made improvements. And then you go into the offseason with some hope. Mikal Bridges has to be a 27-point per game scorer. Nick Claxton has to make his free throws. And Spencer Dinwiddie has to continue to be the Dinwiddie he's been in the last month, where he's leading the league in assists and not forcing shots.
Okay. That's fair. I completely disagree. I think the Sixers are winning in 4. I think that the Nets are going to make a couple games. Yeah, it's going to be close. It's not going to be all blowouts, but I do think that the Sixers are just going to blow the Nets out of the doors off the Nets, because they're not ready for the Sixers. The Sixers are really, really, really good. And they're a well-oiled machine. Like you said, they have one of the best top 3 players in the NBA. They have Harden, who is motivated, especially against the Nets. You got, Tobias Harris. You got the coach's experience. Everybody there, they're ready to win. And they're not going down in the first round. They're going to want to put the pedal to the metal on the Nets and not lose game 1 like they did a couple of years ago. They're going to take them seriously from the jump, because they want the rest. And they're going to make sure that they take care of the Nets, and it's going to be fairly quickly. Maybe I'll give them a game, but my official prediction is Sixers in 4.
That's great.
So just wanted to let you know.
No, that's great. No, I'm all for it. And you could be right. Hey. The Nets could win in 4. Maybe all of a sudden Cam Johnson erupts, goes for 30. You get incredible performances off the bench from Joe Harris and Seth Curry, who are now playoff tested guards. Nets different from last year is they got exposed by Boston with their smaller guards. They got destroyed. Patty Mills and Seth Curry barely play now. Just different because of their defensive mindset and how they switch on everything, and they have the bigger guys up front. And I think as a Net fan, I'm very intrigued to see how Nick Claxton goes up against Embiid, because he's played well against him. He's had some nice games. He had that one nice block. I mean, Embiid was Embiid, but I'm curious. I'm really interested in the development of Nick Claxton in his second playoff series, when last year versus Boston, it was Andre Drummond, and then Claxton sort of took the minutes away from him the more and more they went on, and he didn't see the court. And now, this is Nick's team at center. I'm really intrigued to how he's going to play, and how the Nets handle Embiid, how they double, to give open shots, how they choose to plan to play against him. Will be exciting to watch. Hey, if the Nets lose in 4, if the Knicks lose in 4, whatever the predictions end up being, they're just your prediction.
Yeah, I mean,
like assholes, I guess every other person has one. So what do you want? Yes. Did I get it right?
Yes, we all do. It's funny.
Go for it. No, you go for it.
I feel like I've been listening to Carton and Roberts too much. I love the show. Shout out to Evan. But Carton has always been saying, every time there's a big playoff series or a big game locally, every local radio host picks the home team. You know what I mean? Even if you're not a fan of that team, like let's say it's a big Jets game, even Tiki's picking the Jets. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody, so I'm it's hilarious, because I feel like every Knicks quote unquote content creator or podcaster, whatever you want to call yourself, is going to pick the Knicks to win the series. And that's not why I picked the Cavs. I just legit think the Cavs are going to win the series. That doesn't mean I'm not rooting for the Knicks, like to crush the Cavs in 4 and blow them out in every single game. Don't get me wrong, but it's just my thoughts and my actual real opinion. And I even put out a poll, Knicks fans, who do you think is winning the first round series? And who do you think won that series? Cavs or Knicks?
Knicks, like 82-18, I'll guess.
84-15. Or 84.2 to 15.8, just to be exact, because the math didn't make sense.
80-ish%.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the comments that people were writing were kind of funny, because this one's a joke. Matt at M Dorans _, he goes, Knicks in 4, we're better. I'm just gonna guess that he's joking. And then we have Middle Infield Sports at MIS Cards. Cavs have the best player. Knicks have a better all around team. Knicks in 6. See, I think it's just those kinds of, I just feel like the Knicks can win the series. So it's not like a Nets Sixers series, like, no offense. It's like the Knicks just beat the Cavs on the road when both teams were playing hard without Julius Randle. So there's a lot of confidence there, but it is the regular season. Like Knicks and Hawks 2 years ago. The Knicks beat the Hawks, I believe, 3-1 that year, and they've owned the Hawks in the regular season. But in the playoffs, the Hawks won 4 out of 5.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And it's one of those things where I just, you got to see that the fans are always going to pick when it's a close matchup, the fans and everybody's going to pick, and you got to play to the crowd, and that's what people do, because that's how you get attention. And I would just like to give my honest opinion. And that's
and I appreciate that, but I also just think there's a bias to want to see your team do well, and you get in that moment. Probably like why you see the Sixers winning in 4. I have the Nets winning games. So, that's my version of it. I can't go out and say the Nets are going to win the series. But from what I saw in that one game versus the Sixers and how they're playing lately, and some false hope,
Right.
I'm going to give myself 2 wins. Also, this, how many Knicks fans really know the Cavs? No offense, but you're not that in tune with them. I can make the argument, well, the Cavs didn't have Jared Allen, right, when they played against you guys, and he's a big component. But did he play in that last game?
No, he did not.
He did
Jared
not,
Allen
right?
did not
So you
play,
could say
and that
that's
was a
the
big
guy
deal.
that controls the class. So there's always a spin and an angle on it. And
and Jared Allen's owned Mitchell Robinson in his career. So, and that from watching those Nets games. So it's just, it is what it is. Whatever.
No, I get you. I think when you don't, let me put it this way, by the end of the series, you're going to know the Cavs, right? When you end up playing this team that many times,
right?
And the regular season is irrelevant. You can't, it means nothing.
Completely irrelevant.
Look at the Mets and Cubs which now a long time ago. 2015, when the Cubs went like 28-0 versus the Mets, and then the Mets swept Chicago in the playoffs or whatever it was.
Yeah, they did sweep them because Daniel Murphy just went crazy.
No, I know the Mets swept them, but I don't remember what the Cubs' exact record in the regular season.
Who knows?
The Mets was. The point was they dominated them. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The Sixers beat the Nets 4-0 in the playoffs in the regular season.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't make it can change in a heartbeat, and that's what the second season's about.
It really is.
That's what it's all about. We'll close out with this. Is Immanuel Quickley the 6th man of the year?
I say yes, and that's not just being a homer. I'm saying yes because I believe Immanuel Quickley has had the bigger impact on the Knicks, and even coming off the bench and excluding his games that he started, I believe that without Immanuel Quickley, the Knicks would be screwed. And without Malcolm Brogdon, the Celtics went to the finals last year, and they would have been fine anyway this year. So I believe that that's why Immanuel Quickley should win the award, even if the stats off the bench, just specific games off the bench, Brogdon's per game stats are a little better, slightly. I believe Quickley should win the award. Yes. You?
I don't downplay the importance of Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics. When the Knicks beat the Celtics this year, when the Knicks were on their surge, Malcolm Brogdon did not play. He was not there. When the Celtics went through their slump, Malcolm Brogdon was not there. Last year in the NBA Finals, they could not get their team in order, and the reason they couldn't get over the hump was because of Malcolm Brogdon. Immanuel Quickley will win the award. He deserves it. He's been awesome. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Knicks fans should downplay that. Like, I'll put it this way. You're right. Without Immanuel Quickley, the Celtics would have survived without Brogdon. I don't know if the Knicks could have done it as much without Quickley, and I would agree with you on that. But I'll tell you, for the Celtics to win a title, they need Malcolm Brogdon. And that's a bigger difference. And I think, that to me, even though maybe it doesn't have the difference in the regular season, I think the impact that Brogdon will have for that Celtic team in the playoffs is more valuable when going for a title than Quickley in a spurt of just shooting off the bench. And the award goes to 2 guards. The 16 out of the last 18 6th man of the year go to guys that can score off the bench. It's just the way the award is given. Like you can say it's the 6th man of the year. It's the guy that comes in and gives your team a shooting spark. And Malcolm Brogdon, it does different things. And he'll never be. And I think there's a bias of what the award is. That's why I agree he'll win it. But when you look at what the award is, it's a guy that comes in, gets hot, gets buckets. All of a sudden, you're like, he has 12 points in 6 minutes on 7 shots. How do you do that? Well, Malcolm Brogdon might come in, although I think his points per game is higher. It'll be more methodical, passing, get other guys involved. The award's catered to scorers, and Quickley has that over Brogdon.
Yeah, it's true. And Quickley's a little flashier. And it's just I honestly don't care. I got kind of sucked into the debate yesterday or the day before. I haven't commented on it really on Twitter at Knicks Central. I just didn't care. Like the Knicks, there's one thing the Knicks have done over their in the history since the award's been around, since I've been paying attention, since I was a kid. They've won 6 man of the year awards. Can you name the 3 Knicks that have won 6 man of the year, Mike?
Since what? Of all time?
Well, let's go from the 90s because I'm not sure.
So Sprewell was 6 man, right? Didn't he come off the bench? Okay. Is that the first one in the order of where we're going? Just for my brain to at least help.
Yes. No, it's not. It's not.
What year was 99 for Sprewell?
No, wait, it wasn't Sprewell. Now you're throwing me off. No, it wasn't Sprewell. Sprewell was no. That's a no.
But he did come off the bench in those playoff series, right? Didn't he do that? Am I making
Yes, he did come off the bench that entire year, 1 year. Yes.
All right. Did. So the Knicks, you love the 6 man of the years. Just guide me where to start, and at least that'll help. Like start it this year, go up. Like if it's the year 96.
Okay, the first year was 1995.
All right, so those Knicks teams.
You want me to give you the years they won, that the awards were won?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
95, 97, and 2013. Plus, I looked that up. I didn't know that off the top of my head. So, but I know the three guys. You threw me off with Sprewell because I'm like, yeah. Oh wait, actually no. But I know the three guys, and I knew that before I looked it up. I just looked up the years. Okay, this was a
J.R. Smith.
Yeah, that's one.
Ron Harper.
Ron Harper wasn't a Nick. Never a Nick.
Oh man, no. Derek Harper.
No, he started. Think that's famous Knicks though. Famous Knicks.
Anthony Mason.
That's one. That's two. So now you got two.
I got Mace.
Mace JR. Who's your favorite player of all time?
So now I'm thinking 97.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Knicks player?
Starks come off the bench.
That's Starks. Yep. When they got Allen Houston. There you go.
See, I got all three.
They did.
Have there ever been? I don't know if Nets have won the Sixth Man of the Year off the top of my head.
Oh, I have the list here. Let's see.
Probably not.
No,
because they were so deep with their starters.
And they started the award in 1983. So,
but look at the award; it's all two guards.
Yeah,
point guard, guys that come off and score.
Montrezl Harrell won it in 2020,
and that's one of the few exceptions.
Lamar Odom in 2011 won it.
That's the other exception.
Antoine Jameson in 2004. Corliss Williamson in 2002. Wow, what a name! Rodney Rogers in 2000. But yeah, every other year, Tony Kukoc in 96, Clifford Robinson, your Uncle Cliff, he passed away, right? Rest in peace. And then Detlef Schrempf 2 other years. And it was a couple centers and forwards. But
look at the award lately. Look at the award lately.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I'm mentioning a few guys, and that's, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 8 out of since 1983. And the rest have been guards. So
it's made for scorers.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes sense. You don't be like, he came off the game and had 3 blocks every night. No, it's a guy that can get in, get you buckets. And that's usually a big obviously in NBA history, getting guys off the bench that can score is huge as you're typically your high level producers when they're not on the bench, the backups aren't as good. I mean, simplify it.
Yeah. And 2 more quick things. One, attendance came in for the NBA this year.
Oh, good.
Knicks were 6th in attendance this year with 795,110 total fans in the building. And the Nets were 16th with 724,439 fans that have gone to the game. So it's a good thing you went to a couple games because they wouldn't have made 16. So good for you. And the Knicks
nobody likes the Nets.
But the Knicks were 97.9% capacity, and the Nets were at 99.6% capacity on the season. So technically, the Nets had more fans in the building, but the Knicks have more seats.
Yeah, well, if you give tickets away for free and you charge so little, of course it's going to be like that. Nobody cares about the Nets. They give their tickets away. You know how tough it is to get a ticket at the Garden?
That's true. But you know what's funny is that somehow did the Mavericks play any games outside of Dallas or in bigger arenas? Because they had 105% capacity. So I feel like they had to play. I know the Spurs played that game. I know the Spurs played that game that was at the Alamo Dome, and that they played the Warriors and they got smoked. But that probably raised their capacity. But to be over 100%, I don't know if the Mavericks played a game outside of that. So let us know if you guys know. And then last thing, I did my record prediction tweet in the beginning of the year. And, I let people give them their win prediction at the end of the year. I pull it back up at Nick Central on Twitter. It's a fun little game. People do it. And everybody was wrong. A couple people were close. Everybody had around 40, 42, whatever. So a couple people went over and like homeruns of 50. And then this one guy at Drew 471. He said 47 wins and the 5th seed. Yeah, I said it on September 29th, 2022 at 4:51 p.m. So shout out to Drew. He nailed it. To know, like, I didn't even ask for the seed. He had the script, man. He had the script.
And one last one. Shout out to James Casson. He is the winner of the Bad Weather Fans 2023 NCAA tournament bracket. He had UConn winning it all, and that was a major difference. Everybody did awful. Just awful. Eric Highsmith in 2nd. William Simmons, shout out, coming in 3rd. And then I was in 14th, Alex, while you were in 20th. And shout out to my good buddy Leon Oliver, who's a college basketball savant, watches it all the time, literally came in last.
The one guy in the bracket that actually watches college basketball all the time.
No, knows college hoops. Like, loves it. Diehard NC State fan. Came in last place.
That's hilarious.
Last,
and that just shows the bracket also is dead because of gambling being legal everywhere. The bracket, shout out the bracket guy who was at every office that walk around, and it was his 1 day a year or 2 days a year to shine and get the brackets together. It's 2 weeks or so, let's say, to shine.
I miss that.
And now nobody cares about your bracket because everybody could just bet on singular games and you're always in it. So why would you give a shit about the bracket?
It's still
totally
fun.
changed.
It's still fun.
It's still fun, but it's not the same.
No, it isn't the same.
Because you couldn't gamble unless you knew somebody who lived in a state, and even before that, you had to do it overseas accounts online, and it was like shady. It wasn't as convenient.
Not even the gambling aspect, just the camaraderie in the office.
Right.
Looking at the brackets, watching the games, cheering
Trash
with each
talking.
other. It was fun.
I
think there's a lot more remote working that's happened, so that probably plays into it also.
That too.
But yeah, I hear you. It's probably not as the same, but shout out to James, and he'll join us on a later Bad Weather Fans episode. We'll have some fun with him as the playoffs move forward, and he'll jump on the pod with us. So I did want to make sure that we gave the shout out, make that official here on BWF.
So to recap our series predictions, I said Cavs in 7. You said Cavs in 7. Nets predictions. Yours was what? Nets, Sixers in what?
Sixers in Sixers.
Sixers in 6.
6.
And I said Sixers in 4. So in case you want to, throw it in our face, hopefully for both of us, our teams win.
I'll take Sixers in 6.
Yeah, listen, hey, you showed up and you didn't get embarrassed.
Oh God, could you imagine the fantasy?
2 straight sweeps for the Nets? That would be amazing.
If the Nets beat the Sixers in round 1, it would be just as good as anything. Well, not a championship, but it would be if the Nets could win this first round with this team after going through all that and eliminate Harden. That would be pretty special I know they're not going to win a title. But for a fan base, not going to win a title, but shit, that'd be fucking great to end that.
Clippers beat the Suns and knock Durant out, even though you don't hate Durant, and then the Nets win a round. That'd be incredible for you.
Yeah, and the Knicks are gone in 3 because they're just Tibbs is like, we need a 4th game. We're so bad.
Let's just give up.
We just give up. We're quitters.
Yeah.
Eastern? Who makes the finals? Who wins the title?
Okay.
Who's good in the West?
Who's good in the West? So you got, let's see. I'm going chalk in the West with the Nuggets, which isn't really chalk because the Nuggets is just a tough, that they always fold in the playoffs, but they're healthy this year. And I think that this is the year he makes a run, the Joker. And I'm going Nuggets, Sixers, and we get a Jokic Embiid finals.
You love Philly.
And I'd like them this year. And I think I can't pick Philly to win it all. So I'll say Nuggets win it all.
There was a big Sixer moment where Harden had a good regular season game. And you're like, this is the team. You love Philly. Last year when they got Harden, you declared that they were the team. You're a Philly lover.
I'm
a secret, but also keeping up with the trend of the Philly teams getting to the final and then losing.
Yes.
Which would keep up with the Phillies and the Eagles. The Sixers, if they were to do that, I think plays into your dumb narrative.
Yeah, there you go. So what's your finals pick?
After me. I'm going Suns Bucks, with the Bucks winning the title.
A rematch, so a finals rematch.
I love the Bucks.
The worst.
I think they're the best all-around team in the NBA.
I do.
I think they have so much depth. They have shooting. They have Giannis, who's Giannis.
I think Middleton's hurt again, though, right?
What's that?
Is Middleton hurt again?
He's been coming off the bench for them. I don't know exactly. Don't put me on the spot here. Just do a
3 days ago, Chris Middleton drops optimistic knee injury update. So yeah, he's a little hurt.
He's a little banged up. They'll be fine in their first round. If it's the Hawks, the Raptors, or the Bulls, they'll win.
Yeah, they're gonna win in that first round anyway, and then get some rest. Yeah.
Boy, that Bucks Nets Eastern Conference Finals this year is gonna be nuts.
Yes. Well, we have to wait for Knicks and Nets Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully, we'll do that. That'd be fun.
Could you imagine if that happened?
That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be
One day we'll get that matchup in the bad weather fans era. In
this year. It could be with the way the seeds line up. It's at least possible.
Yeah. Well, just get us a first round matchup or something. That'd be fun. Maybe next year. So
possibly. I mean, they were very similar teams. 47 wins, 45 wins.
Yeah, they were.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you make the sausage. It's how
Even though this team didn't win all the 45 games that the Nets have.
Oh no,
they won 12.
No, they won 12, but they're 5-1 in their last 6
or 13, whatever you want to say. 12 and
whatever it is.
12 and 14
5-2 now.
I like to count it from. I know the deadline happened before the 11th for the Nets, but I like to count it when Bridges and them showed up, which makes them 12 and 14, not 13 and 14. But either way you slice it, they're under 500, and they won most of their games without those guys.
But they're starting to play well with them. That's all that matters.
That's
all that matters. What's your? No, I'm not going to ask. I will say one last thing about Cam Thomas. People are always like, why doesn't he get more minutes? All he does is score. He disrupts the flow of the offense. He doesn't pass the ball, and it just becomes his show. So when there's no other players on the court, he's been brilliant, and that's why he put up 46. But when the flow of an offense, I think Jock Vaughn's making the right decision, going with guys that defend, pass the ball more. But it's, in case of emergency, break glass, Cam Thomas come in, get you a bucket. Kind of a weird scenario.
Yeah. Good weapon to have off the bench in emergency.
But hopefully, he's probably not going to get some minutes, which is weird to have a guy score 46 and then not see the court in game 1 versus the same team. But that's the reality of it. That's what's going to happen. All right, it's been Bad Weather Fans, episode 166. Thank you, everybody, for listening on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and give us a 5-star, leave a comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe, especially if you're watching on YouTube, where you can see maybe 4 or 5 different moments where me and my cat Leon get into a little back and forth as he jumps on the table. I take him off the table. You then see him walk behind me. So if you're into some good cat content, Bad Weather Fans is there for you also. It's Leon in the background, of course, now as I'm ending the podcast. Wants nothing to do with me. Alex, no good luck to you and your Knicks on Saturday night. I hope you lose. I hope you're in a bad mood from it. That's my honest feelings. But in seriousness, enjoy the game, enjoy the playoffs, and get ready for Bad Weather Fans playoff run number 3 this season.
Hopefully the Knicks at least make it a game, because if they lose in heartbreaking fashion, I'm at my in-laws watching this game, and there's going to be a lot of cursing, and they'll be like, why did my daughter marry this guy? So hopefully it's something that's a little bit of a normal game. So we'll see. So thanks.
Enjoy that. See you, everybody.